Hey everybody, what's going on? It is James here with Crypto Common Sense, and I have a Bitcoin/cryptocurrency market update for Friday, June the 25th. Before I jump into the video, please do me a huge favor, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and don't forget to check the description. There are links down there where you can join Patreon for just $7 a month, which gives you access to more frequent updates and exclusive trade tutorials. Also, a link down there to join Pancake Profits, which is a course put together by one of my former students and now my business partner. And inside that course, we are showing people how we're getting some really crazy returns in really small amounts of time using the Pancake Swap network stuff. So listen guys, if you hear a little bit of background noise, my daughter's taking a shower and it's loud. It's like right next door to my office, so I apologize. I figured you'd rather have a video with a little bit of background noise than no video at all. So the first thing we're talking about today is, let's talk about the QQQ, which is one of the ETFs out in the stock market. This one is for the NASDAQ, okay? This is something I would watch, guys, and this is for the future. Write it down, make note of it, put it on a sticky note, whatever it is you do with this type of information. This is the stuff that nobody wants to talk about until after the fact. Right? And then after the fact, it's like, oh, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? So write this down. This is actually something that I'll be watching if the stock market ever does crash, which starting to wonder if that's ever going to happen. Not really. I know it's going to happen. I just don't know when, right? Everybody knows it's going to happen, and all markets retrace. But if you really look at the history of the QQQ, right? This was the dot-com bubble, came crashing down, kind of consolidated around this 200-week moving average. And then when it broke back above it, by the way, this looks eerily similar to Bitcoin in 2020. But once it broke back above it, then off to the races it went. Came down in the latter part of 2015, tapped it on a tail. Really, really good entry point. You could have been long on this stock at $85 and roughly $85.41, right? If you're long there, and of course now it's up around $3.49, so about a 400% return. If you'd have got in back there, 300% return over the course of about 5 years, okay? Back when it crashed last year, what it actually did, and I will forever kick myself for not having this on the chart and allowing COVID to cloud my judgment the way it did. I've done plenty of videos talking about that, so I'm not going to dwell on it in this video, but man, what a stupid thing, right? Missing this. Came down right to the 200 EMA. I should have expected more upside in the stock market there, which of course would have automatically by default, made me expect more upside in crypto as well. Because my concern all along was, hey, stock market's going to dump because of the economy and because of COVID, and it's going to take Bitcoin with it, and yada, yada, yada. Right? But in reality, there is a legitimate reason to be long on the QQQ. And if you have been long, it's up about 111% over the last 15 months. So the next time this thing does come down, I will be watching this level with a great amount of interest, and I will be seeing if there's a long play available. It's starting to curl up at a fairly steep angle, so it could be that this becomes more of a short signal if this eventually crashes. Say this is curling up, comes down, maybe you retest it, and gives me an opportunity to buy some puts on the stock market. Why does that matter if you're a crypto investor? Because guys, by now you've got to understand that cryptocurrency is correlated with the stock market, right? And not always in the best way possible. Like right now, stocks have been going up, but Bitcoin just keeps going down, right? So they're not correlated on a day-to-day basis, but when the stocks have pain, crypto has pain. Right? So unfortunately for us, right now the stock market has been going up while Bitcoin has been going down. And if the stock market suddenly goes down, well, Bitcoin's probably going to go down even more. Only it's going to be starting from a much lower level, which sucks, right? But keep an eye on this. If the market does start to turn south, watch it. It's either going to act, well, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I would expect it's either going to act as strong support or it'll end up acting as strong resistance if it breaks through that, okay? Let's take a look at some Bitcoin charts. The market is not being kind to people. I haven't taken a single Bitcoin trade in quite a while now. It's been at least a week, maybe more than a week. I've been more interested in the DeFi stuff and more interested in the stocks. So let's take a look at this. This is the 3-day chart. I guess I can take this off there now. Everybody gets the idea, right? Lower low, lower high, confirm lower low. So it did come crashing back down into this zone of demand. You know, this last candle, we came down and retested this lower part of this tail back here. Got a really nice like 20-21% bounce off of it. We were still sitting inside. I'm going to take this pink box off. It's bothering my eyes. We're still sitting inside the bear market box on RSI. So this is, you know, fairly interesting. I talked about this in previous videos. This market actually looks weaker than the 2018 market, which is strange. I'm still seeing some people calling it a bull market. Guys, I'm not here to, you know, argue and play word games with people. It's a bear market, and I just don't know how anybody can sit back and believe this is still in a bull market. It's down over 50% right now. There's obviously a lot of negative sentiment floating around, especially when it comes to, you know, China prohibiting mining in some of their provinces. Things like Elon Musk is now tweeting me things about Bitcoin maxis. You know, prices down obviously in a big way. It's a bear market. These are all the bear market signs, and unfortunately people, they're so hopeful that they're so desperate for this to go back up that they'll ignore all the warning signs, and if just one person that they follow says it's a bull market, they'll blindly keep holding their coins, and that's certainly their choice, but it's more often than not a very painful one. Okay, so let's talk about this objectively and not emotionally. Let's talk about what's going on in the market. Well, we're coming back down. This candle closes in about a day and 7 hours. We're coming back down to the bottom of this box again. I still don't think this box is ready to give way. Now that could be you know, maybe my own bias talking a little bit, because I'm, you know, viewing this so much like the 2019 market, where it came in, put in this bear trap, and then bounced up 30%. But realistically, guys, this had a big bounce, 23, almost 24%. So this did play out like this fractal back here. The main difference is it hasn't come up to retest supply, which is kind of what I'm wondering about. Okay, but if you look at this, and I had shot a video for Patreon about a week or so ago saying if it fell at the bottom of the box, I thought what it would probably end up doing is falling at the bottom, retesting resistance, and then further downside. And that probably is what's going to happen, right? I don't want that to happen, but that probably is the more likely scenario. The only reason I kind of have a problem seeing that is because it would mean that we close or break outside the bottom of this box, which would be unusual because we usually don't do that, right? Unless it's the bottom of the market, like, you know, March of 2020, and then of course like November/December of 2018. It would be unusual. It would also be very, very fast, right? For this market to go from 65K down to, you know, 20K, for example, or even 10K in a matter of 3 or 4 months, it seems unusual, right? We're used to bear markets taking, you know, a year to play out. Even the 2019 bear market, right, from around 14 down to around 4, took 9 months. So I have a hard time seeing this go down this quickly, okay? Now, that being said, if we are just looking strictly from a TA standpoint, okay, we actually do have this, you know, what you might call a breakout trade type of setup, okay? So you've got this move down, you've got this retracement back up. Let's check and make sure this meets the criteria. This needs to be at least a 33% pullback. So if we draw some fibs on there, yeah, so it came up right to the 38.2. It does meet the criteria for a trend trade, right? We could draw some Fibonacci extensions on here. And basically, once this thing breaks back down past this 25 level, that's a green signal, meaning it's a signal for a short if you're a trend trader, right? I didn't take the trade because I just have such a hard time believing it's going to go straight down like that. But technically speaking, it did break below that level. It did come up and retest this midpoint of the range, and it is showing a lot of weakness there. So if this starts to move down, especially if it takes out this 30K level again, yeah, the trend target's actually 11.7K. Okay, does it go straight there? Man, that would shock me if it did. It would shock me if it did. But the TA does point there, right? 11.7 thousand. And if we put our volume profile on this chart, and if we measure it from the bottom in 2020, there you go. You see that trend target, 11,730, sitting right on top of this giant ledge of support. So does that target make sense? Unfortunately, it does. It makes perfect sense. All right. So this is the range on the CME chart. I'm not going to get overly concerned about it unless it breaks out of this range again. But I'm starting to get a little concerned, starting to get a little nervous here, thinking maybe I'm not going to get that opportunity to short that $45,000 to $49,000 zone that I've been waiting on for a month, right? For a month, I've been waiting for this thing to come back up and retest this zone up here. If we take a look at the weekly chart, we are sitting right near the bottom of this box, which again is so strange. This is so weak compared to previous bear markets, right? This was the bear market in 2018. Look at this. So here's the top in December of that, December 2017, comes down, has a bounce right back out of the box, and then finally comes down. Doesn't get down to this level here where we're at now until about June, which was 6 months, right? Actually more like 7 months into the bear market. So to be here so quickly is really throwing me off. All right. We're still inside this range, like I said, unless we lose 30K. I'm still going to hold out this belief that we are going to go up and retest this 19-week moving average, which is right now around 48.6K. Now it's curling down, so that number is going to be dropping every day until we go up to hit it, unless we get back above it, okay? So, 45 to 49K is still the zone I'm looking for, right? Basically between this white line here, which is this close back here, and this green line up here as what I'm looking for. If we get up to that area, I will view that as supply and I will be bearish. Right now I'm only bullish on the smaller time frames, meaning I'm looking for that bounce. But I'm looking for that bounce as a part of a move that will end up looking like this, okay? A move that goes all the way down back to around 10 to 12K. But remember on the CME chart, we do have this gap here sitting down around 24K or so. We have this tiny little gap back here that's sitting down around 18.5K. And we have this gap back here down around 9,700. Again, I said all along, I think this gap will get filled. I still believe that will get filled. I just believe it jumps up before more downside. I believe it washes out bears. All right. As far as liquidations go, let's take a quick look. I haven't done that in a while. So right now on Bitcoin, open interest is about 9.4 billion. Now the funny thing is, guys, if you remember a few months ago when I was posting those market psychology charts talking about the fact that I felt like we were in, the thrill phase headed for euphoria, one of the things on the market psychology chart right toward the top is this little paragraph that says something about I'm going to, buy more on margin, we're all going to be rich or something along those lines. Well, look at April. Margin peaked on Bitcoin. Open interest was $23.68 billion, right? Now look at it. It's 9.4 billion, right? Dropped by about 2/3 over the last 2 months, right? That is a sign the bubble has popped. And again, this just really, if you look at the data, anybody who's telling you this is a bull market, they're either delusional or they're misleading you maliciously on purpose, right? Be very careful listening to these deluded people, because I made that mistake in 2018 and I lost literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that opportunity cost ended up being, depending on how you look at it, I mean, some people could even say tens of millions, but definitely millions of dollars that I missed out on because I listened to these people, right? My fault. I'm not going to call anybody out by name. You got to take responsibility for your own actions, but don't make that mistake. In 2019, I was out there warning people about the drop to 4K, and the very same characters were out there screaming, this is a bull market. The same people, guys, they're doing it. They never stop. They're like broken records. The only thing they know how to do is say, whoa, it's going to go up, 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 right? But it doesn't. It doesn't go up, 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 up. right? In 2017, one of the main reasons that I didn't cash out my Bitcoin was because everybody, not everybody, but these talking heads were talking about $50,000 Bitcoin and $100,000 Bitcoin. So there it was around 15, 20K at the time. And I'm thinking, well, gosh, I don't want to sell here, for a couple $100,000, because if I just hold out a little longer, it'll be worth over $1 million. And then in 2019, they were doing the same thing. The difference is I sold, right? Sold that time before it dropped 60, 70%. And so just realize the people that are screaming 150, 250, 300K Bitcoin today, they were screaming 50 and 100K Bitcoin in 2017. All right. So do your own due diligence and don't default to other people's judgment. Not mine either, right? Do your own. Bitcoin liquidations, as long as they're being punished today, 158 million. It's really not that brutal compared to what some of those older ones were. But again, less open interest, so you're going to see less liquidations. What I expect to happen, though, is I do expect, we're not seeing a lot of bear liquidations. I think they're going to push this thing up and really smoke these bears, right? I really think they're trying to pull these bears in to these short positions before they, have a short squeeze. And that short squeeze, if it happens right now, where are we at on Bitcoin? 32K-ish? Just turn all this off. If that was to go back up to, say, 49K, which I think right now that's about the highest it would go, I think it's probably more likely going to go back to this trend line. You're talking like a 50% pump, right? Now let me show you guys something. So this pump here in 2019 wasn't quite that big. It was about 44%, all right? But if you go back to 2018, when that bear market kicked off right in December, so boom, topped out, huge dump down. This dump was about 48% or so. Look at this, 65% bounce. That's the reason it was really tough to sell back here. You may have been in the market, you may not have been, but I remember this. I remember thinking I probably should sell, but there were so many people that were still bullish, and then it had this like 60% bounce, and I remember thinking, oh shit, I'm so glad I didn't sell, right? Because I was thinking about selling over here, and it got over here, and I was like, oh, almost messed up. No, I didn't almost mess up, right? I should have been selling. And then the bottom fell out, right? Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it dropped 65% from there in just over a few months. This is typically what you see. You see the huge bounce, which is the complacency bounce, okay? And a bubble popping. Just like right here, this huge bounce. And I had posted this on TradingView at the time, calling it targeting. I was spot on, right? So this thing bounced 36.8%. Complacency down, right? It even had a second complacency bounce, which was unusual. That really screwed people too, right? I remember when this was happening, a lot of those people were, even more bullish because it was going up, and even I started questioning my bearishness over here. Fortunately, I didn't cave in, but they almost got me, right? So if you zoom out on this and you're looking at a weekly chart, we really haven't had a bounce, right? Maybe this was complacency. It's totally possible, but I still lean toward this, right? And then this. So anyway, 22 minutes. Probably been saying the same thing for 10, so I better wrap up there. But before I wrap up, please remember I am just some guy sitting in a spare bedroom, which means that nothing in the video is financial advice. You should always go out there and do your own due diligence and seek out professional financial advice from a licensed financial advisor for making any type of investment in cryptocurrency, the stock market, or precious metals. If you enjoyed the video, be sure and give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to check the description for a link where you can join Patreon for more frequent updates and exclusive trade tutorials, and also a link where you can join Pancake Profits to learn more about this pancake swap stuff that my business partner and I are up to. This is James with Crypto Common Sense, reminding you to please trade safe.